Hello, I'm Kelly Lavati, and I'd like to thank you for joining us here in Macomb Township for the Macomb County Chambers Meet the Candidates Forum for the full-time elected positions in Macomb Township. Right now, joining us is Frank Viviano, candidate for Macomb Township Supervisor. Hi, Frank. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
As your opening statement, please tell us why you have chosen to run for the supervisor.
Well, I've been here for 20 years or more, actually a little bit more than 20 years with my wife and I. We now have 2 young kids that we're raising. And I think with a lot of people who are like me, who have children, and anybody who's been attentive to the political climate in our township, I've gotten frustrated. I've seen the opportunities they've squandered, the infighting and the corruption that's been making all the headlines. And I got to a point where I decided I wanted to do something about it. I reached a point in my life that I think I can make a difference. And I think with my leadership, the township can finally get back on track, and we can start to really be everything that I thought we were when I first moved here.
What are the 2 biggest challenges you see facing Macomb Township?
Well, right now we seem to be mired in our own dysfunction to some degree. We have a lot of great employees and a wonderful group of residents. My neighbors are all fantastic, but because of the dark cloud that the scandals have caused, there seems to be a lot of suspicion, finger pointing, and infighting at the township board. All of that has gotten in the way. And so instead of focusing on all of the things that can make our lives better, fixing our roads, working with the county to make improvements, look at our park situation, that all gets sort of obscured under this dark cloud of corruption and indictments and everything else that's been going on. So we need to clean that up, and that's going to be my first priority. And then once we're all pulling in the same direction, we can focus on all those things, and we can start building a better tomorrow.
Great. As supervisor, you oversee 11 different departments. What experience do you have in managing people?
Well, that is one of my strengths coming into this campaign. I come from a background of business ownership as well as business management. I went to school, I have an accounting background, worked in public accounting, a law degree. But for the large part of my career, I managed Viviano Flower Shop, which is actually one of the largest flower shop of its kind in the country. We had 135 employees with multiple departments, most of which reported to me. I ran multiple projects, and I know it sounds a little funny thinking a flower shop of this large organization, but actually ours was. It was very different than what one might think of as a small mom and pop flower shop. So I have a vast amount of experience managing people, working with department heads. And in my current role as chief of operations of a construction company, I've taken on a whole new industry successfully, and I'm managing that business as well. So I believe of the qualities that really make me the right person for this job, my management skills are right up there.
Great, thank you. The township supervisor is often seen as the face of the township. What will you do to make sure the township is seen in a positive light?
Well, that's an interesting question. I just had this conversation with one of our high school students, and I was telling him and his parents that one of the things that is most concerning, especially not just in Macomb Township, but all of our area, is that our talent continues to leave the state. We graduate from these wonderful universities, U of M, Michigan State, but there's no jobs here for that level of talent. Well, I've talked to our county leaders, and they want to reverse that, and I want to reverse that too. So I am the right person to get out, promote our township, promote all of our assets, and let's start bringing in the next generation businesses so that the leaders that we're developing right here in Macomb Township, they have somewhere to go when they graduate.
Great. I appreciate you taking the time to answer our questions today, and I'd like to give you a few minutes to do a closing statement for the community.
Thank you. Our township's great. I saw the qualities of some place that I wanted to call home 21 years ago. And I still think all of those qualities are here. We just need to get past all of the things that are distracting us. And I think with all the experience that I bring, and with a fresh set of, a fresh voice on the board, someone who can really unite everybody under common purpose, and I just want to focus on common ground. And I'm happy to disagree with people. That's part of the process. But I'm going to do it in a way that's polite, professional, and allows us to continue to move forward despite any differences we might have.
Great. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Right now, joining us is Mark Grabo, candidate for Macomb Township Supervisor. Hi, Mark. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Kelly, for having me.
As your opening statement, please tell us why you've chosen to run for the office of supervisor.
Well, as my options, I looked at all the things that's happened over the last several years. Being an intricate part of that, it made a clear decision for me to step forward and come back and work to bring the community back to a vibrant, respected area. It was very key for me.
Great. What are the two biggest challenges you see facing Macomb Township?
A couple of the things that I look at and platform off of is the infrastructure that we have, our roads, bridges, sidewalks. This recent COVID-19 has brought to light a lot of things for people. Walkability has really brought that back clear to the community, how we need that and how we need to connect that safely. With that, it also is clear that we need to review, enhance, and work towards our public safety, whether it be our law enforcement, our fire services, or our EMS. We need to continuously review those items and make sure we have the right things for our residents.
Okay, great. Thank you. As supervisor, you will oversee 11 different departments. What experience do you have in managing people?
Well, in 2008, I was the township supervisor, so I do have experience. The department staffs that we have phenomenal people within our community. Our staff is number one. Even yet today, being back in the private sector, I think back and go, oh, I'd love to have so-and-so do this or so-and-so help me on that, because we've got such well-experienced and well-rounded staff. They were a blessing when I came in and worked the first time. There wasn't a person that didn't try to lend a hand in those departments. Each department has different scenarios. Each department has different challenges. So looking forward and working with all of them is a key item for me.
Okay, good. The township supervisor is often seen as the face of the township. What will you do to make sure the township is seen in a positive light?
One of the key items is looking at the recent history and all the years of things and a lot of things that have transpired over the last several years. We need to turn Macomb Township back to the community that it was, and that is being the bright, shining center. We have built a phenomenal facility within Macomb Township. We need to continue to build this for our community. There's no other way but to step forward. We can't step back. Bringing forward the ethics ordinance, bringing forward all the things that are required, and being clear and open with our residents. Some of the most important things is clear, open discussion. Several years ago, we didn't have that. It was a simple vote, plain and simple. Open discussion, interaction with our residents so that everyone understands what we're doing and what we need to work forward to are the key items. Let's work together. The community needs to grow, and we are one of the best and fastest growing within the Midwest.
Well, I appreciate you coming today and answering some questions for us. I'd like to give you this next couple of minutes to do a closing statement to the community.
I appreciate the time, Kelly, I really do. In closing, though, I would like to say that I am dedicated to the community. I'll work very hard to keep the corruption out of the township and move it forward as I plan. We need to enact the ethics ordinance, as I made a statement to, and continue to hold everyone accountable. And that's from myself all the way through the system. If I stepped on a line, then those are the things that need to be handled. We need to be open and honest with ourselves and our staff, residents, and business leaders. The experience I have is needed to do the job, and I'm committed to the residents to make that clear. I'll be able to step in and move forward immediately. There's no learning curve. Of course, it's bringing things up to current speed. I'll continue the process of making the community as a well-desired destination for the residents and continue to grow the businesses throughout the community. We really need the support of the businesses for the positivity of our residents. And I look forward to watching our community grow. The other day I was able to spend a little time and walk through the parks, and it was great to see the people, the kids, everyone out playing baseball. And interesting enough, they all did the right thing. Everyone was socially distanced, and they still were having a phenomenal time within our parks facilities. And these are great reasons to come to Macomb Township. So I look forward to it.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Mark.
Thank you.
Right now, joining us is Christy Posey, candidate for Macomb Township Clerk. Hi, Christy. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to start with your opening statement. Please tell us why you've chosen to run for clerk.
I have chosen to run for re-election as the Macomb Township Clerk because I love my job. I am honestly passionate about the statutory responsibilities and requirements that are responsible for the clerk's position. I have had the pleasure of working with the professionals and the employees of Macomb Township and Macomb Township Hall, and also the opportunity to meet so many of the residents that I wouldn't have been able to meet if I wasn't elected in 2016. So along with that, numerous residents have reached out to me and approached me in the last year and tried to get me to consider to run for supervisor. And although I was humbled and honored that they felt that I was qualified for that position, I have such a passion for the administration of elections. And I just couldn't see my future without not being a part of it. So I think I am exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Great, thank you. What are the two biggest challenges you see in Macomb Township?
Well, a lot of communities face specific challenges. I think we can all agree we have road problems and improvements that need to be done in infrastructure, which isn't unique to Macomb Township. It is a statewide problem. I am a part of a committee, the Roads Committee, right now that is currently working side by side with Macomb County Department of Roads so that we can get prioritized in our road improvements that need to be done. And Macomb Township is fiscally strong enough to participate in a cost-sharing program, which helps us to get prioritized. But that's not unique to Macomb Township. In my first term, I would find one of the biggest challenges unique to Macomb Township is the disconnect between the board members and the department heads and employees. I truly believe that we are only as good as the employees because they are the foundation and they are the operations that keep the services going to our business owners, our developers, and our residents. And it was saddening to me to see when the employees reached out to the board indicating that there was an atmosphere and some things going on that were preventing them from being ultimately successful in the servicing of our residents. It fell on deaf ears. And what I watched was the morale deteriorate with our employees. They're hardworking, they're extremely professional, and they want the best for our residents. So I look forward to working with a new board that's willing to take on the challenge to build the morale back up in Town Hall and make it a place where employees want to go to work every day. I can honestly say I love going to work every day. I love my clerk responsibilities, and I think all of our employees should be able to say the same thing.
Great, thank you.
Now, there was a second challenge you wanted, right?
Yep. Mhm.
Okay, so the second challenge that I see as a board member is balancing the residential development with our business environment. Macomb Township's known for being one of the fastest growing communities, and we've done a great job with our residential development, but we haven't really balanced our business environment. I've had a lot of residents indicate to me that they go to other communities for services and dining and entertainment because there's just not a lot of variety here in Macomb Township. So I personally don't want to see Macomb Township become a bedroom community. So in the future, I want to take on the challenge of working with our new planning director, which we just hired, and get our master plan updated and pursue the Macomb Township downtown. We have the population to support a downtown. So I want to work with the planner, business owners, and the Macomb County Economic Development Department to bring businesses to Macomb Township so that our residents can have these amenities and these options for services and dining and entertainment in their backyard.
Wonderful, thank you. One of the clerk's major responsibilities is administering elections. What experience do you have in the election process?
Well, elections are the foundation of our democracy, and they're extremely complicated and complex to administer. So education and experience is essential for any clerk to be successful in the administration of an election. I am the only certified Michigan municipal clerk on the ballot. I am the president of the Macomb County Clerks Association. I am certified in management and supervisory leadership. I have my election officials accreditation certification, and I also have a bachelor's degree in business administration. So I have worked very hard to educate myself on the election administration process. But in addition to that, I have firsthand experience administering 6 successful elections for over 64,000 registered voters in Macomb Township. I have prepared our equipment to be delivered to 37 precincts in 20 different polling locations. I have personally trained over 400 election inspectors to provide them with the information and tools that they need to service our residents on election day. I have made it a point to educate our voters. It's important that they understand the election process, especially during a pandemic right now. They want to know what options they have to vote, but stay safe. So I made it a point to send out an informational mailer that explained their options to vote by mail. But if they want to choose to vote in person at a polling location, we have put all the safety precautionary measures in place to make sure that they're safe if they vote in person. So that being said, I've also worked diligently to put together the best election team in Macomb County. We together as a team have over 100 years of combined election experience in Macomb County. And recently the Macomb County clerk made a statement at a board meeting that said, if only all elections could be administered as accurate and efficiently as Macomb Township, my job would be a lot easier. So all of us combined take great pride in the election process, in the administration of the election, the security and the sanctity of the elections in our township.
The clerk is also in charge of overseeing the finance department. What experience do you have with the budget preparation and financial reporting?
Well, as I mentioned, I do have a bachelor's degree in business administration, which required several courses in finance and accounting. But most importantly, I've worked closely over the past 4 years with our finance director to oversee our general fund budget of approximately $24 million. We have 16 funds and 12 of them are budgeted funds. And our overall goal has always been to achieve an unqualified opinion from the auditors, which is the best opinion a municipality can obtain. We have been successful in obtaining that opinion for 4 years. In addition to that, I developed the purchasing department. With the purchasing department, we now implemented an updated purchasing policy We hired an experienced purchasing specialist who works side by side under the direction of the finance director, who now oversees the bidding and contract process from start to finish and ensures that we are being fiscally responsible in our purchases and make sure that we're getting the best services, but also for a good price and quality.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time today to answer our questions. I'd like to give you this time now to do a closing statement to the community.
Oh, thank you. Quite honestly, I think that all of us are tired of the negative attention that Macomb Township has received. And I have been, personally, unfortunately attacked for my efforts to change the culture and atmosphere that has existed well before I was elected in 2016. I have been diligent in my attempts to change the atmosphere, and it's not welcomed by some, and it has made me unpopular to some. And change comes with resilience, and it has led to personal attacks against me, fake news, alleged accusations, but ultimately it has made me stronger and more determined to get reelected, because I want to work with board members that want to focus on the positive things Macomb Township has to offer and bring the amenities that our residents deserve with their taxpaying dollars. So I want to get the negative behind us and focus on the positive going forward. And in closing, I would just like to say that I am the only qualified and certified Republican candidate for clerk, and that experience matters, and it will make a difference in the future.
Thank you so much. Right now, joining us is Francesco Biondo, candidate for Macomb Township Clerk. Hi, Francesco. Thank you for joining us today. As your opening statement, please tell us why you've chosen to run for clerk.
I have chosen to run for clerk because I would like to help make Macomb Township accountable. So a little bit of my experience. I have 17 years of experience as an office manager and over 5 years of experience as a legal secretary. And I'm the former deputy supervisor of Macomb Township, and that's what motivated me to file as a candidate.
Great, thank you. What do you think are the two biggest challenges facing Macomb Township?
I think that we have a little bit of controversy that's been swirling around, so I would like to see the ethics board established and members appointed as soon as possible. And there's several other issues that I think would be beneficial for our township to get busy on.
Okay. One of the clerk's major responsibilities is administering elections. What experience do you have regarding the election process?
I have, sorry, gotten a little nervous. I have plenty of experience with the elections department. I believe that by holding our township accountable, that it will help streamline our services. I also believe that it would help make, sorry, I'm getting a little flustered. Can we start over?
That's okay.
For our residents to make informed decisions, I think it would be beneficial for our videos of our board meetings to be available to all residents and not be taken down. So I'd like to see that established for our clerk's department, as it is part of our record keeping for our clerks.
The clerk is also in charge of overseeing the finance department. What experience do you have with budget preparation and financial reporting?
I have over 17 years of experience in that area. I grew up in the construction industry, and I grew up learning from my parents how to run a business. And it's very important to make sure that you are watching your budget and your master plan and making sure that all things are lining up for the good of our residents. So I think it's very beneficial that I have all this experience with my family business, and that would help lead my decisions and include residents' opinions on other areas that we can streamline our services.
Okay, great. I appreciate you taking the time today to come here and talk to us and answer a few questions. I'd like to give you a few minutes now to do a closing statement to the community.
Okay. I was born and raised in Macomb County, and my father immigrated to the United States as a child, so I had a front row seat to the American dream. I grew up with a hard-working family. My family and my parents taught me everything. Growing up and working with them, they instilled very strong ethics in our family. So I learned the value of hard work, family, and faith that will be my guiding. And I just really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today and to speak with our residents. Sorry, it's a little warm in here.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you coming in today. Right now, joining us is Karen Goodhue, candidate for Macomb Township Treasurer. Welcome, Karen. As we started today, could you share your opening statement and please tell us why you've chosen to run for the office of treasurer?
Well, I have been the treasurer of Macomb Township for the last 10 years. I felt it was very important when I became treasurer to learn how to do the job well. So I went to classes and became a certified public treasurer. I also continue with those classes to this day because it's important to keep up on the new laws and the new things that are happening in other townships. It's a great networking opportunity. I'm also a certified public funds manager, and I've also attended the Township Governance Academy. I was a graduate from that. I was able to do that in 1 year, something I'm very proud of. I want to continue to serve the residents of the township. I always looking for ways to improve services to them. I answer the telephone, I work the counter, so I talk to a lot of residents and know what they're looking for, and I want to continue to serve them.
What would you say are two of the biggest challenges facing Macomb Township?
Two of the biggest challenges, of course, I've been filling out a lot of questionnaires lately, and everybody asked about corruption. I think we need to get back to following our policies and make sure that I want to encourage new board candidates that are people who get on the board to learn who your other board members are. Know where they're coming from. Get to know them and work together with them, because that's the only way that you can make changes happen, is working together.
As treasurer, you're responsible for investing on the township's behalf. What experience do you have in investing money?
Well, like I said, I became a certified public funds manager. I also have a deputy who is very involved with investing. He was a former banker, so he helps me out a lot. We have a company that we work with who gives us the bank ratings, keeps us up to date on that, to make sure that we're investing in companies or banks, not companies, but banks that are stable. And we always think about the three main things that treasurers have to think about: safety, yield, and liquidity. We always have to make sure that our money is safe, foremost, even before the interest rate. That is most important.
And the treasurer is also in charge of collecting taxes. What experience do you have in collecting taxes?
Well, I've been doing it for 10 years. I always make sure that I work the counter on the last day. It's usually that's when the lineup is, and I enjoy that. I enjoy helping the residents and answering their questions if they have some. There are a lot of, it's not an easy thing to do, to collect taxes. You just don't send out a bill. There's a lot of prep work that you have to do ahead of time, and we want to make sure that we're giving a good product. We put a lot of information on the back of the tax bill for our residents, and we want to make sure that, as a board member, I want to make sure that the taxes are within reason for our residents and still be able to give them the great services that they want.
Thank you for answering our questions. And now if you'd like to take a few minutes and do a closing statement to the community.
Yes. I feel that I'm a qualified candidate. I work very hard for the residents. I consider myself a working treasurer because I do answer those phone calls and I do work the counter and I do help the girls in the office. My staff is one of the smallest staffs in the township, but we work efficiently and we work together. And we answer questions for a lot of the residents, and I want to be there to continue to serve them.
Thank you, Karen. Right now, joining us is Leon Drolig, candidate for Macomb Township Treasurer. Hi, Leon. Thank you for joining us today. As your opening statement, can you please tell us why you've chosen to run for the office of treasurer?
Sure, thanks for having me today. Appreciate that very much. I decided to run for township treasurer because Macomb Township has historically been the best bang for your buck when it comes to tax dollars in Macomb County. But we're experiencing a lot of challenges lately. Very large growth in our population is continuing, which is putting some stress on the needs of the township. In addition, we've had a number of ethical issues on the existing board and previous board with arrests and indictments and that sort of thing. And I think between the two of them, there's a very nervous time that things could go wrong. The vision of Macomb Township being the low tax, great bang for your buck place to raise a family is now kind of threatened because we don't have sort of a guiding principle on the township board anymore. We've got, unfortunately, a bunch of infighting and concerns and finger pointings and paranoia and other distractions involving the legal issues that have hit a few of our township individuals. So I decided to run because I want to make sure that that vision is restored and that we look toward what we want this township to be. We don't want to grow into a community that's high tax and exists for the county government more than the citizens. We want to maintain our growth, but do so in a manner that protects what Macomb Township has always been, which is we outsource our police department to the county to provide a lower cost of very good service. We have paid on-call firefighters. We do a number of things differently in Macomb Township. We need to identify what we want to be. We want to be the most affordable place to get good services to raise a family. And that's the vision I want to bring to the Macomb Township Board. Great, thank you. What do you see as the two biggest challenges facing Macomb Township? I think the challenge is the growth of the township in terms of population should not necessarily mean a growth in government bureaucracy. The challenge is how do we serve these residents, the existing residents and new residents as they come in, without ballooning the cost of government? How can we keep it an affordable and good value for the citizens? So that's a challenge to deal with a growing community. And then frankly, the other challenge is a little less, it's more of an intangible, and that is a professional situation within the township leadership. And unfortunately, with some of the changes, we've had some trustee pass away and others, there's become a void in vision and a void in direction and a void in leadership and something of a breakdown in civility, unfortunately. And I think that that other challenge is, can we run a township where the government is professional, it's civil, and it's efficient? And those are the goals. Great. As treasurer, you're responsible for investing on the township's behalf. What experience do you have in investing money? Well, I've had experience at the state level. Back in 2000, 2006, I was in the state legislature. Served briefly on the appropriations committee that had to deal with the state budget. In addition, I've had extensive experience dealing with budgets at the county level as a current county commissioner. So my focus is more about how do we appropriate funds in the most efficient manner possible. An example of that is the 2020 budget for the county came in from the executive at a recommended level that was more than we were expected to take in as a county, and that was going to dip into our rainy day fund. So I led a group of county commissioners that essentially went through the entire budget, made recommendations, went through and only appropriated a budget, approved a final budget that was less than we had as far as money coming in, that put money into the rainy day fund, that only increased spending by less than the rate of inflation. I think we could have done better, but I had a group to work with, so I had to cooperate. So I don't know that we have a problem with investing money. You know, I want to maintain the talent that we have in the township with that regard. I think we have a problem with spending money more than we have of returns on investment.
Okay, great. The treasurer is also in charge of collecting taxes. What experience do you have in collecting taxes?
My biggest experience is not collecting taxes. I run a group called the Michigan Taxpayers Alliance, which is a taxpayer rights organization, the goal of which is to prevent unnecessary tax increases. I don't think we have a problem sending out tax bills. Government seems to be really good at getting people's money. I think we have a challenge at not going after people's money. It's to maintain the lowest tax rate we can while providing really high quality services. So do I have a magnificent plan that's going to improve how we send out tax bills? No, because that's functioning. The goal is to improve on not collecting as much tax money. Applying tax money that we do collect is in prioritizing that and in providing the best value. So no, I'm not going to be better at finding ways of mailing out tax bills. That's pretty down pat. So it has to be continuous is status quo. The challenge is how can we do more with less?
Okay, great. And I appreciate you answering our questions today. I'd like to give you an opportunity to do a closing statement for the community.
Well, thank you. I think what this township needs is to restore and maintain a vision of what this township should be. And what this township should be is not East Point or Fraser or Sterling Heights. It's a place that has built itself on providing a place for people to live, to raise their families, to raise their children, that's safe and that is efficient. We don't have as high of a tax rate as our neighboring communities. If you look at Chesterfield, you look at Clinton Township, you look at Shelby Township, Macomb's tax rate is lower, but it's at risk. The goal is to maintain that vision, give people more for less, give them what they really need, which is essential core services, safer community with decent roads, and do it without turning the solution always is, let's just raise everybody's taxes. How can we do it as cost effectively as possible?
Great. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I hope you have enjoyed watching today's program and have learned a bit about each of the candidates seen here today. Remember, the primary election for these positions will be held on Tuesday, August 4th, and the polls will be open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. And I encourage you all to get out and vote. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.